We've been together for 11 years, married for 8, 2 kids, modest house, shared routines, shared bills, shared stress. We were never the power couple, but we had stability. I thought that counted for something. I also thought wanting your own wife was normal. Turns out, that belief makes you emotionally immature. That's what she said to me one night when I tried to tell her, gently, carefully, that I missed her. Missed the way she used to hold me. The way she used to look at me like she saw me. It wasn't an accusation. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't whine. I just said, I miss being close to you. I feel like I'm always waiting for you to want me again. She didn't even look up from her phone. You're obsessed with this. It's not healthy. Not everything in a relationship has to revolve around that. I told her it wasn't about the act itself. It was about connection, feeling wanted, feeling like I still mattered to her that way. That's when she dropped the line that's still echoing in my head days, weeks later. You're emotionally immature if you think physical intimacy is some kind of proof of love. Grow up. And just like that, I felt ashamed, like I was a teenager begging for validation, like I had no right to feel rejected, no right to crave something I thought was normal in a marriage. I stopped bringing it up after that. I started telling myself I was being immature, that I needed to evolve, to rise above those kinds of needs. I distracted myself with work, with the kids, with small acts of affection that were rarely returned. She, on the other hand, became distant in a way I couldn't name. It wasn't coldness. It was vacancy. We shared a bed, but I couldn't remember the last time she reached for my hand. She started wearing oversized clothes to bed, like armor. She always turned away from me when she lay down. Sometimes she slept with headphones in. No goodnight kisses, no casual touches, no stolen glances. I thought, maybe this is just what long-term marriage looks like. I thought, maybe I'm broken for still wanting more. But then there were little cracks. She'd stay late at work, a lot. Team projects, new leadership, last-minute deadlines. She became glued to her phone, always face down, always on silent. When I walked into a room, she'd switch apps. She started sleeping with the phone under her pillow. And yet, every time I brought up how disconnected we were, the same response came, "You're too focused on it. It's not the only way to show love." I began to feel like a creep for wanting my wife. And that's what kills me now. Because all that time she was making me feel broken, needy, small. She was giving him the version of her I kept hoping would come back. It was a Tuesday evening. I got off work a little early. Not much, just 30 minutes ahead of schedule. I didn't text her I was on my way, didn't call. I just stopped by the store, picked up dinner for the kids, and grabbed her favorite ginger tea. That's the thing. When someone keeps rejecting you, you start to overcompensate in quiet ways. A cup of tea here, a folded towel there. Like maybe if you're thoughtful enough, patient enough, useful enough, maybe then they'll look at you the way they used to. I pulled into the driveway. Her car was already there. Odd. She usually worked late on Tuesdays. Something about monthly recaps. When I stepped inside, the house was quiet. No TV. No clatter in the kitchen. I walked in slowly, not wanting to wake the kids if they were napping. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Soft. Familiar. But not for me. It was coming from the living room. I stopped in the hallway. Just close enough to hear her voice, but far enough that she wouldn't notice I was home. "Stop," she giggled. "You're such an idiot." There was silence, then more laughter. Hers. That kind of laugh that rises from your stomach. The kind that means you're glowing from inside. The kind I hadn't heard from her in over a year. "You're ridiculous," she said. "If you keep talking like that, I swear I'm not going to be able to concentrate tomorrow." A pause. "No, he doesn't suspect anything. He's just, in his own world." She laughed again. Then a whisper. "God, I miss your hands." My entire body went still. I didn't move. I didn't speak. My heart was thudding so loud I thought she might hear it from across the house. My first instinct wasn't anger, it was confusion. Because, wait, I was the one who wanted too much, right? I was the needy one. The one who couldn't grow up. The one who didn't understand what mature love looks like. But here she was, whispering, giggling, glowing, for someone else. Not cold, not detached, not distant. Alive. I stood there for another 30 seconds, maybe more, listening to the version of my wife I hadn't seen in years. The playful, affectionate, feminine side she'd claimed she just didn't have anymore. She had it, she just didn't have it for me. I backed away from the hallway slowly, quietly, didn't say a word. I walked out the front door, got back in my car, and sat there in the driveway with the engine off. 30 minutes, maybe an hour. I lost track. I stared out at nothing, blinking through the dull ache behind my eyes. That's when the guilt hit me. Not for snooping, not for hearing her, but for every single time I believed her when she said I was the problem. I remembered all the times I apologized for wanting her, for needing her, for reaching out in the dark, only to feel her flinch and turn away. She wasn't overwhelmed. She wasn't tired. She wasn't past that phase of her life. She just didn't want me. And the worst part? She made me feel ashamed for wanting her while she was giving herself to someone else. Someone she called when she thought I wouldn't be home. Someone she laughed with. That night, I barely slept. She came to bed late, maybe past midnight. I pretended to be asleep. Eyes closed, breath slow, heart thudding like a slow drumbeat. I felt the mattress shift when she laid down. Heard her pull the blanket up to her chin. Then silence. No, good night. No touch. No guilt in her voice. No tension in her movements. Just stillness, like nothing had happened. I lay there, eyes wide open in the dark, staring into the ceiling. And for the first time, I didn't feel confused. I felt sick. All those months I'd spent convincing myself it was me, that I was selfish, immature, too focused on that. I realized I'd been tricked. Or maybe worse, I had let myself be tricked, because the alternative, that she simply didn't love me anymore, was harder to live with. But still, I needed to be sure. I wasn't ready to blow everything up based on a few overheard words. I wanted proof. Not just for me, but so I couldn't gaslight myself later into thinking I'd misheard, overreacted, misunderstood. I'd done that too many times already. The next morning, she left early, claiming she had a team breakfast meeting. She kissed the kids, waved at me like any other morning, grabbed her bag, and left her iPad charging on the desk. It stopped me cold. Her iPad. She never used it anymore. At least, not that I saw. It had been the kids' screen once for road trips and cartoons, but it had a lock code. I figured she disabled it months ago, but something told me to check. I picked it up, pressed the home button. And it opened. No password. Just the lock screen with a background photo from years ago. The two of us at a beach, back when she used to lean into me for pictures instead of standing stiff with a polite smile. Then it buzzed. Just once. A quiet little message banner at the top. I didn't even have to click. Last night was torture. All I wanted was to reach across the table and touch your hand. The name was a number. No contact saved. No photo. Just a string of digits and a message so soft, so tender. Like a whisper not meant for me. I stood there holding the iPad like it was a live bomb. The guilt, the nausea, the pounding in my ears. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe an old friend. Maybe, I don't know, some drama I didn't understand. But I tapped the notification anyway. It opened her Messages app. And suddenly I was staring at weeks, maybe months, of conversations. Hundreds of texts. Scroll after scroll after scroll. Some were innocent or tried to be. But most weren't. Most were laced with longing. Jokes I didn't get. Photos I wish I hadn't seen. Talk of lunches that weren't on any calendar. Meetings that ran late. Hotel bars. Canceled date nights with me that turned out to be just drinks with him. Then I saw a message from 2 weeks ago. He tried again last night. I just pretended to be asleep. I can't even stand the thought of him touching me anymore. And another. I hate how he needs me all the time, like some lost puppy who thinks a hug is a reward. I sat down. Not because I was tired, because my legs gave out. I held that iPad like it was a dead bird, like it was the last piece of something I used to love, now rotting in my hands. And the worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was the disdain. The way she talked about me, mocked me, dismissed me. All that time I was ashamed of wanting her. She was somewhere else, laughing at how desperate I still was. She didn't just lose interest. She turned my love into a punchline. I thought back to every time she'd told me I was immature, that I needed to grow up, that real love isn't about bodies. All the while she was giving hers to someone else. She came home around 6. The kids ran to her. She kissed them on the forehead, handed them little wrapped snacks. She looked tired, but composed. The same routine grace I'd watched for years. The kind of calm only people with nothing to hide can fake this well. I was sitting at the kitchen table. The iPad was in front of me, turned off. She didn't notice it at first. "Hey," she said casually. "Dinner already started?" "Not yet," I said quietly. "Wanted to wait for you." She gave me a short smile, polite, the kind strangers give each other in elevators. "Well, I'm starving. Let me just change out of this. Sit down." Her hand froze on the strap of her purse. She blinked at me like she didn't quite understand what she'd heard. "What's going on?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "Sit down." She hesitated, just for a moment. Then she did. Across from me, arms crossed. I turned the iPad toward her. Didn't even unlock it. Just set it down, screen facing her. "You forgot this today." Silence. She stared at it. Not shocked, not scared. Just still. "I read the messages," I said flatly. She looked up at me, then back down at the table. Not at the iPad. At the table. As if the wood grain would offer a better explanation than her own mouth. "How long?" I asked. "Nothing." "How long have you been seeing him?" Still nothing. Her face was pale, jaw tight, eyes blinking fast like she was scanning for the right script. "Was it the whole time you were telling me I was immature? That I needed to grow up? That I was too focused on physical connection?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. "Answer me." Finally, she whispered, "It's not what you think." I laughed. A bitter, short exhale. Not even a real laugh, more like disbelief escaping my chest. "Really? Because I read you telling him you couldn't stand when I touched you. I read you calling me a lost puppy. Is that not what I think, or exactly what I think?" She looked like she wanted to cry, but she didn't. Her eyes welled. Yes, but no tears. "Not yet." "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said. "No? You just meant to humiliate me behind my back?" I was confused, okay? I was in a dark place. You always needed so much from me and I didn't have it to give. But you had it for him. Silence. "You told me I was emotionally immature for needing you, for craving connection with my own wife. You made me feel guilty, broken, like there was something wrong with me just for wanting to feel close to you." "It wasn't about that," she said quickly. "You made everything about it. Every hug, every compliment. It was always leading somewhere. I felt like I couldn't breathe without you expecting something." I leaned forward, my voice low, controlled. "And instead of talking to me, you gave yourself to someone else, and then laughed about me behind my back, like I was pathetic for still trying." She looked at me now, finally, really looked. "I felt invisible," she said, "like I wasn't a person anymore, just the mother of your kids, the woman who cooked, cleaned, slept next to you. He saw me. He made me feel alive." "Then why didn't you leave me?" I asked. "If I was so suffocating, so childish, so embarrassing, why stay?" "Because I didn't want to break the family. I didn't want to hurt the kids." You didn't want to hurt them, I repeated. But you had no problem killing us. Silence again. Just the ticking of the kitchen clock. I'm done, I said finally. I'm not going to fight for someone who resents me for loving them. Her eyes widened, just a little. Maybe she thought I'd stay. Maybe she thought I'd grovel. She miscalculated. You don't have to make a decision right now, she started. I already did. I stood up, walked past her. No yelling, no slamming doors, just the sound of my footsteps and the sound of her breathing. The breathing of someone who thought she'd be chased. I didn't pack that night. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I didn't sleep either. Just sat in the garage with the lights off, listening to the quiet hum of the world outside. No kids crying, no arguments, no justifications, just stillness. I thought I'd feel rage. I thought I'd want revenge. I didn't. All I felt was tired. Tired of second-guessing myself. Tired of sleeping next to someone who looked at me like a burden. Tired of being told I needed to evolve while she gave the best of herself to someone else and pretended she was protecting the family. The next morning, I made breakfast for the kids. She didn't come downstairs. She knew I wouldn't speak to her in front of them. She stayed behind the bedroom door like a ghost. After I dropped the kids off at school, I came back, walked into the bedroom. She was sitting on the edge of the bed in a hoodie and leggings, knees pulled up to her chest like a teenager who got caught sneaking out. I didn't sit down. I'm leaving today, I said, calm, steady. She didn't look at me right away. Where will you go? Somewhere I can breathe. My brother's maybe. Doesn't matter. Can we talk? We did. Silence. You're just giving up? She asked. I looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't crying. Not panicking. Not apologizing. Just processing the fact that the thing she always assumed was permanent, me, was no longer playing along. No, I said. I gave up a long time ago. I just didn't realize it until now. I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. You didn't have to mean it. You just had to do it. I walked out of the room, closed the door gently behind me. That afternoon, I packed a single bag. Laptop, some clothes, a toothbrush. The rest could stay. The house didn't feel like mine anymore. Before I left, I paused at the hallway where I'd once stood and listened to her laugh for another man. I stared at the spot for a moment. Not with anger, just remembrance. That's where it ended. Not with shouting, not with cheating even, but with shame, hers, deflected onto me. With silence, with slow erosion. Later that night, I sat alone in my brother's guest room, watching the ceiling fan spin, and thought about all the times she told me to grow up. And I realized she didn't mean mature. She meant stop needing me. And now I don't. The next week was quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet in the way a building feels after the roof has collapsed. Everything's still there, technically, but no one's pretending it's livable anymore. She didn't call me after I left, didn't message me the next day. No long texts, no dramatic pleas, just silence. Like even she knew there was nothing to salvage. I waited 4 days before filing the papers. I walked into the attorney's office alone, sat across from a stranger and calmly explained that my marriage wasn't working. When they asked for the grounds, I said, emotional abandonment and infidelity. I handed over what I had, screenshots, dates, enough to make it clear. I wasn't trying to destroy her, I just didn't want to be gaslit again. When she was served, she texted me one line. So that's it then? I didn't respond. Because yes, that was it. The divorce went through quietly. No courtroom drama, no yelling over assets, no long, bitter negotiations. She didn't fight it, didn't contest anything. I think deep down, she knew there was nothing left to argue for, nothing left worth trying to save. We split the custody evenly. I got the house for now, mostly for the kids' stability. She moved into a small apartment across town. When I picked the kids up for my first weekend alone with them, they hugged me like nothing had changed. And yet, everything had. The first few nights were hard, not because I missed her. I missed who she used to be, or maybe who I thought she was. It's a strange kind of grief, mourning a person who's still alive, still texting you about who's picking up snacks for school, but no longer knows how to say your name with warmth. Then, one evening, my daughter, 7 years old, sitting in her pajamas with chocolate around her mouth, looked up at me and asked, "Daddy, are you sad that you and Mommy don't live together anymore?" The question stopped me cold. Not because I didn't expect it, but because I didn't know how to answer it without lying. I took a breath, looked her straight in the eyes. "Sometimes, yeah," I said. "It makes me sad that we stopped being kind to each other, but I'm not sad that we're doing what's best for all of us now, even if it's hard." She was quiet for a second, processing it in that way kids do. No judgment, just wide-eyed curiosity. Then she said, "You smile more now." And that broke something open in me, because she was right. Not because everything was magically fine, not because the pain had disappeared, but because the weight, the constant invisible weight of trying to hold together something already broken, was finally gone. I wasn't carrying guilt that wasn't mine anymore. I wasn't shrinking myself to fit into someone else's idea of maturity. I wasn't begging for affection like it was a privilege I had to earn. I was just me again. Not a perfect man, but not ashamed anymore either. And if anyone out there is being told that their need for affection makes them weak or immature or selfish, let me tell you this. Real love doesn't make you feel like a burden. Real love doesn't punish you for reaching out. Real love wants to be close to you. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise.